Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for your Manchester City versus Chelsea preview here at the Etihad. Late kickoff on a Saturday. We've been here last season and got a result. If you all remember that Disassi masterclass in the middle of a back three, this time when we come to the Etihad, there is a little bit more encouragement, a little bit more signs and signals to say, oh, this team, they've won 3 out of the last 5. They're a couple of points behind us. There's been a resurgence, there's been a rise, but we have seen capitulations against PSG, capitulations against Brentford, conceding goals by the truckload, unable to hold a lead, control games in that midfield, that aging, leggy midfield. The only problem is we are not really cut from two different cloth. You know, we struggle to see out a lead. We struggle to control games maybe in the second half when people get tired and leggy in the midfield. We have errors in us at the back, and we're not particularly clinical in attack when we're playing brilliantly and we need to finish off games in the first half. So this game screams two teams with not too dissimilar weaknesses, but you know, it should be an entertaining game at the very least for the neutral. For us, it's a massive game for top 4. It's a massive opportunity to make a statement. I said that at the first game of the season, probably came too quick for us, losing that game at home 2-0. But this is another opportunity to say, right, top 4, we are serious. We are looking to take points off the big 6, which is a struggle for us under Maresca. Only Tottenham have we really beaten. We've drawn a lot. United's, Arsenal's, we've failed to beat City, obviously Liverpool. So it's a chance to kind of correct that as well. But we'll see, because this game comes after PSG, like I said, for them. It comes after Wolves for us, maybe. It plays a part that we've had a bit more rest, hopefully a bit more time on the training ground to correct our problems. And Maresca said a few things in the press conference. I'm going to get to the tactical pad later to discuss the team shape and what we could really expect to see. But first of all, with the presser. We know that Renato Vega's left, right? We know Renato Vega's gone to Juventus. That's done. Here we go. Confirmed. He's going to play centre-back minutes for the next 6 months. We know that Casadei is on his way to Lazio. That's one of the few players that we look like we're able to actually sell in this window. Not for much money, but at least it's something, someone leaving that doesn't really need to be here. And then we have the incoming. And you know I've spoken quite aggressively on Garnacho. And the manager in the question today for the press conference about the winger options, he said he's happy with what he has. He's spoken about Neto and Madueke as his right-sided options. Sancho, Mudryk, who's not currently available to us, still no, you know, are you the father results. Maury, you know, Trisha, Jerry Springer. Can you please get that man to piss in the test tube and send it? Where are the results? And also Tyreek George was mentioned, a player that was promoted, obviously from the academy, and given his name on the dressing room seats and whatnot. The manager said he's happy with those options. Now, I don't know if that means he's trying to play it calm and cool, because a lot of managers don't want to speak about players at other clubs out of respect, or it's because he actually is not really interested in bringing in a left winger right now, because don't forget, Esteval's coming in the summer, and in my head, even though some people will feel Neto is not as good on the left, I personally don't really think it makes a massive difference if he's on the left or the right, because he can cross with both feet, and regardless of whether he's on the left or the right, he doesn't take more shots. He still looks to cross regardless of what flank he's on, in my opinion. So the chance creation is still pretty predictable and pretty much the same. But the idea in my head is that you have Neto maybe move to the left with Sancho, if you're not buying another winger, per se, for Mudryk, and you have Esteval Madueke on the right, if you're trying to put funds to other places on the pitch, and you focus on the striker, and you focus on other positions that are key, critical, goalkeeper. But I don't know. Let's see what happens with that deal. I don't want to talk about it too much today. I've already spoke about it in All You Can Eat Chelsea. There's no progress, there's no bid really from the big journalists saying this is what's been put out as a fee. So let's move on. Then he speaks about Sanchez. He backs Sanchez publicly again. He's really, really strong on Sanchez. He says, you know, yes, he's made mistakes, but hasn't Caicedo, hasn't Jackson, hasn't Madueke. It seems to be a hill he's willing to die on. I personally don't understand it. It's not like you're dying on a hill for a world-class top player. I would understand that. He doesn't seem to want to budge or even move just in the slightest for a keeper that is really ready to give us 1 error leading to goal per game. That's what I've kind of left it at. Expected errors leading to goal is 1 per game for Sanchez on average. It's not facts, it's my feelings. And that's how I feel. And I'm sure that's how our centre-backs feel. I'm sure that's how our defence feel. Yeah, he's going to make some saves, some big saves, some top saves, but he's going to make a mistake every single game. Not for me personally. But again, I've almost given up for the time being. Let's see for the summer, but the manager continues to back him. Then we move on to, of course, injury news. Colwell and Enzo could be possibly back. Could be, possibly, potentially, hopefully, miraculously. But don't get it twisted. It's not confirmed as they are back. And if they are back, but are they back? Are they on the bench? Are they on the starting 11? Colwell, less of a concern potentially than usual because Trevor Chalobah's come back. He had a great performance against Wolves. He was fantastic, man of the match, beautiful, brilliant performance. You could make an argument and a case to just continue with the same back line with James, Tosin and Chalobah. We'll talk about it in the tactical pad. Colwell, you sit on the bench, you rest up, you come into this team slowly, or some people will say earn your place back. But Enzo Fernandez is needed. Enzo Fernandez is one of the few players that in this run in the winter has still stood up to the test of time and said, I'm still going to perform to a good level. I need him in that midfield because I need control. I need someone that can help us keep the ball. We're more than capable with Enzo and Caicedo in keeping the ball at the Etihad against that Manchester City midfield. We've seen it in broad daylight. They haven't got the legs, the energy to get about the pitch. It does annoy me and concern me that the manager hasn't tried to vocalise on bringing back a Leslie Okachukwu or an Andre Santos because I can't really understand why he, as a manager of Chelsea Football Club, not a manager of Strasbourg or Southampton, or a multi-club model manager, director, a manager of Chelsea Football Club where you're trying to maximise your points and your position. Why you wouldn't want one of those midfielders back at your club to give you an extra option in the centre of midfield? Because if we had that type of profile of an Okachukwu, who was great at Old Trafford, in this Manchester City game, to even bring on for the last 15, 20 minutes, or to start if Enzo Fernandez is not fully fit, I would feel a lot more comfortable about us being able to outrun and physically win the battle in midfield against Manchester City. But because we could be rushing Enzo back, who's physically just come off the injury, because we could be highly dependent on Caicedo, who's been gassing out in the last game and is really being overused and abused, we might not win the physical battle against Man City as much as we should. And that is quite annoying because we could have obliterated them physically in the middle of the park. And they still got technicians. Kovacic, for some reason, decides he wants to score goals now for Man City since he signed. So that annoys me. The manager makes that clear. No midfield incomings, it seems. Happy with what he has. Cool. And then, of course, we're looking at what we're going to do on the football pitch and how we're going to play and how are we going to maximize their weaknesses and capitalize and hide our own weaknesses and minimize. And we'll see. But let's get to the tactical pad. Let's not waste any more time. That is my feelings and my thoughts on what is going on. So here's the team on the screen that potentially is most likely to play against Manchester City, unless Enzo Fernandez is fully fit. And then you could obviously put Dewsbury Hall onto the bench and put Enzo Fernandez back in now. I've got him in a yellow bib because he's touch and go. He's a doubt. He's a question. And yellow reflects it. Man City could have a couple of centre-backs. Well, they have Ruben Diaz out. And he's their leader. He's their authoritarian. He's their captain at the back. The vocal, man that runs the back line. He's out. That's a big loss for Manchester City. Doku's out. That's a lot of pace. That's a lot of, direct wing play. Now, we should be looking to capitalize on that. We should be looking to really capitalize on the fact that their defenders are out. There could be a couple of maybe debutants. I don't know if they'll make the starting 11 or they'll put them on the bench and play like a Stones or whoever. Maybe Matheus Nunes, for example, has been playing right back, inverting into midfield. I don't think he's a Man City level player. I don't think that's definitely not his position in terms of his strength. But Kyle Walker's left to AC Milan, so they're making do. There is a lot of... We saw him against Man United, for God's sake. Diallo, forcing errors in that back line, forcing mistakes, putting people all over the place. We have the potential to do similar with our movement, with our quality, if we play to our top level. That Man City defence is there to be got at. That midfield is not ready to protect them. And that's where Cole Palmer comes in, obviously, in that 10 position. Now, the manager, again, has articulated, and in my opinion, this is at a consequence of very silly squad building, that he says Felix and Nkuku for the umpteenth time, it's unfortunate, I like them, but Palmer plays in the 10 and they're both 10s. Why do we have 4 10s if you include Chukwuemeka, who I still believe is a really good talent and is more than capable of backing up Palmer? Why do we have 4 10s and only 1 striker? silly. So they're not going to play. Obviously, he's not going to play any sort of double 10 at the Etihad, so there's no point even considering it. I'd like a variation between Madueke and Sancho, purely because I want some sort of shot volume from someone on the wing, and Madueke shoots along with Palmer more than Neto and Sancho. A lot of people are talking about the lack of shooting, the lack of, the lack of will to want to shoot from our wingers. That's some people's case to want Garnacho. I think you need to be more than just a high volume shooter. Actually, let's be really good at shooting. Let's be a great shooter. Let's be an Elise. But So Madueke gets in over Neto because I don't want two wingers that won't take a shot. If we're going to score at the Etihad, it's going to come from someone taking a gamble, taking a risk, something outside the box, a little deflection maybe. I want more of that from us because we don't do that enough. And at least then try and capitalize off these things, keep a save, rebound, follow your shots in, these kind of things. But again, Neto Madueke right now, I mean, it's not really something I'm going to get hot and bothered about whoever starts, because they're both just as inconsistent as each other. In the midfield, you've got Enzo and Caicedo in there. If Dewsbury Hall has to come in for Enzo, then of course you find yourself in a position. Let's just take Enzo out for a second because he is a doubt. We saw Dewsbury Hall play pretty well against Wolves, kind of moving forward into the half spaces here with Palmer floating and then coming back into midfield. Cucurella obviously tucks in with Caicedo, and then you have your back three. I don't really expect us to do anything dissimilar to what I'm putting on screen right here. If we look to get intensity, legs, ground coverage in that midfield to help Caicedo, Cucurella is the perfect person to do that because he does just get about really well, and we've seen that all season. Dewsbury Hall, like Enzo, will do the kind of shuttle bus up and down from attacking midfield to central midfield, and he's an 8. Chukwuemeka can be an 8. Felix can't be an 8. Nkuku can't be an 8. They can't get up and down as well. They're not trusted in these deeper positions. Obviously, you wouldn't put Felix next to Caicedo. You wouldn't put Nkuku next to Caicedo, whereas Dewsbury Hall and Chukwuemeka, they can do that up and down, back and forth, and that gives a little bit of versatility. Gallagher last season would have been asked to do quite similar, right? So 8s versus 10s and second strikers. This is the difference between doubling up in the 10s with that kind of player and not doubling up if it's a different profile. But I'd love Reece James to start. I'd love, obviously, Chalobah has to start for me after his performance. So I'm not really looking to tweak and change too much in the back line. I think there's no need to. They defended all very well. They all played very well. Jackson will have to go up front once again. I've been banging on the drum for weeks now since this window opened. There is no real option other than playing Jackson and trying to get him out of this poor form in front of goal because of what he is able to bring to this team when he's actually at his best. You might not like that, but don't blame me. We're choosing to go for a winger over a striker currently in this window and accommodate those 60 million transfer fee towards that instead of, applying it on a release clause for a player that potentially could just move right now, or at least pushing for it. With Man City, like I said, they played a Kovacic, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva midfield. Very leggy, very slow, very technical, but very, very easy to bypass and create and play through. We need to be maximizing the midfield. We need to be bold. We need to be athletically just dominant. The centre-backs, it's going to be some sort of pairing that isn't the norm, isn't their best with no Diaz. Again, attack them. Jackson, if you get an opportunity, Jackson, you have to take it. You have to take it. I know it's harsh. I know it's tough. Because there ain't nobody else to support you right now. There's no Giroud, Loic Remy even, Anelka. So many examples of supporting casts for Chelsea strikers that would help at this current moment. Even a Batshuayi, we don't have anything. But you're going to need to do the business because this type of game, Chelsea in both boxes need to be pretty much bang on. Don't make stupid errors in the back line. Don't flap corners, punch them or collect them. Don't make silly passes out from the back and turn over possession, because Haaland, if he gets a little bit of separation, he will pull the trigger and he will score. I know Haaland's not having his most incredible season, right? But Haaland is still one of the most deadly strikers on the planet. He's still a physical handful. We found that out in the first game at Stamford Bridge. And if you give him an opportunity, he's most likely looking to take it. And this is the difference between winning and losing this football match. We need to cut out the stupid mistakes, and we need to be a lot more clinical in our final third play. And it's really that simple. And I think we can do that if we dominate that midfield. We can limit the chances. We can maximize the chances we create. But that midfield, we have to see how it's going to go and who's going to stand up to the test of time. Caicedo, this is the player that we cannot lose to any sort of injury. We must keep him fit. So I'm praying throughout the football match that he doesn't go down again like he did against Wolves, because I nearly had a heart attack, right? It's really that simple. So yeah, Sancho, Madueke, maybe it'll be Neto for some of you, but I'm not going to get into a flinging shit dogfight with you lot right now, flinging shit back and forth about who should play out on the wings. It's just really not, it's not necessary. But yeah, my prediction for this game, honestly, is like a 2-2. I do think we can definitely get a result. Had we recalled a midfielder, I'd be a lot more confident in winning. Had we gone for a forward, I would have been really pushing it for a win as well. And had we just cut out the mistakes at the back, which coming to the Etihad is really hard to believe we're not going to make another error and at least concede a goal. So then we're going to need 2 to win. These are the things that are going through my head. But you guys let me know in the comments down below. What is your prediction? What do you think is going to happen in regards to the game, the starting 11? Are you happy with what I've selected? Personally, I don't really think there's much on the table for us to do in terms of changing the 11. Dewsbury Hall or Enzo Fernandez, which one? But apart from that, I think it's pretty much, pretty set in stone. But yeah, smash up the likes, guys. Make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. In a bit, people. Peace.